Yes. Also, I will just verify that it shows on YouTube. Okay, I guess it's live. Say something, please.
1, 2, 3. I
Okay.
guess that's enough.
Yeah, yeah.
We're good.
Yes,
All
yes.
right. Alrighty. You want me to open up? I also have something to say before we get into the questions.
Yeah,
If
yeah, yeah.
that's all right with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to the fourth Q&A of this year and the last Q&A of this year. For those of you who are joining right now, you can watch us on YouTube, and we're also in the Discord stage. The video from today's Q&A, it's going to also be later uploaded and probably in some edited fashion up on YouTube. And there's one thing I wanted to say before we kind of get to your questions, and that is, there has been, I want to address the situation which happened with Off Topic, just kind of very briefly, given how this is a community event. The Off Topic channel, I think it's a great channel to have. It gives people from the community a possibility just to kind of hang out and chat together and, bond over other things which are not related to Pine64 hardware. But in recent months, there has been more and more, for lack of a better word, conflicts between people in the channel, and some of them were very heated, and some of them, turned into something a little bit more. So yesterday or the day before, Matthew basically said, well, okay, if people kind of, start becoming really aggressive with each other, we're going to shut it down. Now, I don't, I don't know what the decision is going to be ultimately with the Off Topic channel. But, ultimately, moderators and moderation can only go so far. I mean, it's up to the community to behave and kind of be just nice and polite to each other. And, if there's a topic that's, controversial or something that causes, friction, all I can really do is say, if possible, if something gets you annoyed, there's always a mute button. It's always possible to mute another person or not engage with them in the conversation. I think that most of the people on here are adults. There's 20-something thousand of members of the chat across the different protocols. There's bound to be people who are nice, and there's people who will not be so nice. It's easy for moderators to delete or blocks spammers, trolls, so forth and so on. But it is much more difficult when people have very varying opinions on a particular subject, which may lie outside of the core topic of our channels. So basically, I'm just trying to say, look, I think that Off Topic is a great channel to have. I think it's fun. I can tell that it's actually a really active channel and something that people really enjoy. So this is, in essence, my appeal to everyone. I know that everybody can get triggered, for a lack of a better word. Everybody can have a day off as well and kind of be, want to get into a heated debate. But ultimately, moderators can only do so much. If I could appeal to the community just to be nice to each other, that would be really lovely, and maybe we could have Off Topic back, right? So there's one more thing I want to say before getting to your questions. A lot of people have written to me in PMs and DMs and emails actually asking about whether we did get a stall at FOSDEM. Just quickly, to the best of my knowledge, FOSDEM has not yet released information who got accepted to have a stall at FOSDEM. But regardless of if we do get the stall or not, we will be at FOSDEM. So even if we do not get a stall, which I do think is probably relatively unlikely, we're still going to be there. We're still going to be present. So, and we're probably going to hold something of our own then. Right. Is there anything else, Marek, you want to add to what I said?
I think I don't have nothing to add.
Okay. So I'll go with the first question. I'll ask you about this because I actually don't know the answer to this. So Enersol has asked, are there any news about the developer pre-order for Quartz Pro 64?
Uh,
He sent a request in April, got a confirmation, but hasn't really heard since then. Do you know what's happening?
yes, yes. The thing with Anarsol is a bit different situation because we well the thing is that some applications wasn't processed yet, so even some people already signed up and still didn't receive any response. There's still a chance that they will receive coupon for the purchasing the Quartz Pro 64 development port. But Anarsol's situation is something different, and I will after the Q&A I will contact him directly in DMs. But I've seen somebody asking about the other Quartz Pro 64 pre-orders, so that's it. Eventually should be able to get coupon for a board until it will be in stock.
Okay. Right. So, anyways, it's moving forward. I know that they have been sent out in batches, and I've seen tweets from them, but it's coming along. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. Somebody's asking when the PineSoul V2 is going to be back in stock. I think it is in stock.
I don't
And
know. Good question.
I do think it is in stock. Or usually the store has some sort of indicator of when it will be in stock. The global store.
We can check.
For those interested in the EU store, there's stock now as well. If you happen to be in the EU. Right. While you're checking that, the next question will be for you, Marek, as well. We talked in private about this, even though I didn't see this question. So somebody asks, Heinrich is asking, what's the status of the graphics stack on the Star 64?
The state is that we have drivers from the vendor of the GPU inside the SoC, but it's still a blob, so it's still closed source. And from what we heard from the developers, it's still not ready for desktop usage. But the good news is that it seems that it's important for vendors which are making GPU cores to provide support for their GPUs because of the RISC-V SoCs. So I think it should get better in the future. But at the moment, the desktop environments doesn't work properly with current drivers.
Mm-hmm. But the vendor is quite engaged with kind of working on these drivers,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right. Michael is asking, any updates on the PineTab, planned production runs or updates to this product line? What I will say is keep an eye out for the December community update, and I think a lot of you will find some answers in whatever 20 days time or 21 days time from now regarding the PineTab. So a bit of a teaser, but you do probably want to read it. Speaking of that update, I will be addressing a lot of other things as well in that update. So I already started working on it to make sure that it's a really good update rounding off this entire year and kind of giving people a bit of an insight about what's to come. So keep a lookout. Martin is asking, clear case PineBook Pro when? I know that this is probably meant as a joke, but since there's a lot of people sometimes asking, sometimes somebody posts a picture of one of the prototypes made out of see-through plastic and ask if we couldn't do it. And I spoke to TL probably on 2 or 3 occasions about this, and the answer is it's expensive, and that plastic is apparently quite brittle. So it's never a good idea. As cool as it is, and I'm sure there's a huge would be a really big portion of the community that would be very much into see-through devices. It is very, very unlikely to ever happen. At least not as a main production line. Maybe something of a limited production at some point. Um, when will the aux64 be available for purchase? The November update said 27th.
I will say that aux64 had some. As somebody people know that we had some issues with the first prototypes of the aux64, so we needed to make some changes to the schematics of the aux64, and as far as I know, the there are some things needed to sort out, like testing of the aux64s before shipping. So it may be delayed, but not much. I hope next week, or probably next week it should be available, but no promises. Just my estimation. So it will be a bit delayed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if somebody asked this question a bit further down. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But I'll just add that the Star 64 has also been delayed, and it has been delayed. That one has been delayed more significantly until end of December. Is that the date right now? I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably yes. Yes, I think
I
so.
think it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Krzysztof is asking, what is the future of the PinePhone Pro? Are you treating it as a finished project, or are you planning for the development? I'm not sure whether he refers to software or hardware. I mean, the hardware has just received a minor but a significant update in the form of the SD and the SIM slot. So we keep on making little improvements as things go on in terms of the hardware. Resolving little quirks, making it better. As for the software, it's the development is obviously ongoing, and it is my understanding, that there are some significant improvements being worked on. The last one, which I kind of reported on, was early integration of camera support and things related to thermal and power consumption. So yeah, of course, it is. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming along. Ivan is asking, what's the status of the RK3588 based boards? So he's asking for the Quartz Pro 64. Well, we kind of answered that already. It's an ongoing thing with shipments to developers.
I think that he also they also mean that generally if we want to plan to make final version, because current Quartz Pro 64 board is only for developers, it's not in its final form factor. And if this was the question, then answer is that the state of the operating system is still not ready, even with BSP, at least. At least for Quartz Pro 64. I remember that some community members like Negles or Counterpillow made some nice stuff done with the Quartz Pro 64 development board, but I think it's still not ready to be sold for the public audience. So because still even the BSP, as far as I know, it's not in fully working shape, at least for the Quartz Pro 64, and it's just not ready yet. So after the things will get stable with RK3588 SoC, I think the SBC with this SoC will be considered.
Yep. Somebody's asking about a successor to the Rock Pro 64, which kind of just a little bit further down the line, which I suspect is kind of related to what Ivan wrote, and Yeah. Quite frankly, I don't think a decision has been made on how how the Pine Store will proceed with this. I don't think there has been a decision made at this time.
As far as I know, no.
Mm-hmm. Uh, One in the morning is asking, ever considered making a pine ring? Uh, so far, the smart ring market has some brands. Um, right. Yeah, actually, there has been some internal discussion about a pine ring some 2 years ago. So we have. It's obviously not here, and uh, if for what it's worth, when we were discussing the idea at the time, I was uh, quite quite critical of it. I did not really see a point in making this as a part of our or as a part of the Pine 64 product line. Um, I mean, as always, if you see any really cool applications for a ring, then feel free to explain in the channel. But I for one, I don't even wear my wedding ring, so I'm not a person who particularly likes having things. I've never wore a ring or anything like that. I tried to wear a wedding ring for maybe like a year, but then I gave up. But maybe there's people in the community who particularly do like, and I do appreciate it. But I still don't see, if there's any particular functionality in that goes in such a ring. I don't know what these rings do. But like, why wouldn't you want to have that in a watch instead? I mean, it's on your wrist. So why do you want to have it on your finger? I mean, again, like, feel free to you know to explain. Um, but I simply don't see it as a device. I don't get it. Uh, any news on the PineTab shipments? Any plans for PineTab Pro with an active stylus? Just keep a lookout for next month's community update. Uh, Cheaper version of the PineNote, perhaps less storage or less specs. I don't know about the PineNote. I don't know what the well how we're gonna There's a lot of discussion internally about the PineNote, about how to proceed or not to proceed with it. So yeah, you wanted to add something about it to this?
Basically, we already announced that this information about PineNote to the community in the chat, so I think we can say it also here. So the problem is also I seen some questions about when will be PineNote in stock on the Pine Store, and the answer is that probably not soon because uh, due to the fact that PineNote don't have any stable Linux build made, it is problematic because Pine Store don't want to ship PineNote with the Android build. So, like I recommend the read the statement from Pine Store in the chat. I will probably post it after Q&A into the PineNote channel once again. But in shortly, we community needs to make a stable Linux operating system for PineNote. Because even when somebody wanted to try Linux OS, the beta builds made by community, it was problematic because Android bootloader and all the stuff around works a bit differently than mainline Linux, and it was a bit difficult to flash some Linux OS, and most of times it bricked the PineNote. So this was decision made by PineStar that until we will not have stable Linux build, the PineNote will be not restocked.
Okay. Are there any plans for a cheap STEM player? STEM player? Did he mean something else? Did he mean like Steam player? What's a STEM player?
From Woo, because I can't find STEM. Okay, I see STEM player type of much like Kano. I don't know what is
I don't know.
Kano.
I don't know what it is either. Is it like a? Could somebody tell us what it is?
A stem
Can you
player.
tell?
It's really the thing. Customize any song. Uh, I probably know. Oh no, I don't know what's that. It's something about music. I don't really know what is that.
Like a music player of some sort.
Uh,
Um,
uh, Probably. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I no. There has been no. We haven't really been thinking about it, but like I know that uh, the one of the companies working with Volumio, or maybe a company which is a part of Volumio, made a really cool music player based around the Sopine. So and you can run Volumio on your A64 board. So if that's something you're interested in,
Uh, from the chat,
yeah,
it seems to be sound manipulation hardware, and but I think I don't see a reason for us to do some device like that for manipulation. I probably know what he means, but I
yeah,
think
I don't have a clue.
I think we never explored this kind of product to do.
Mm-hmm. Dancho, any plans to introduce an ideal diode consisting of a small controller and a MOSFET intended for polarity protection and whatnot? This would increase the bill of materials by a bit. What is he referring to here?
Pine Cell.
Okay, right, right, okay. So, do you have an answer to that? I'll keep on reading
Uh,
his question while you.
I don't know this information, so I think we need to continue. Like, but in shortly, like, I think it may be in Pencil V3, the situation with polarity, how it's named, polarity. When you just supply one polarity to the Pencil, it will burn the some chip inside of it, and we don't have this security inside. So I don't know. I don't know. Basically, maybe it will be integrated to the V3, but if it will be, I think it will be sometime until the Pencil V3 will be made. So
Mhm.
this is sound of the future. Let's name it that like that.
Okay. If or when will the other Pinesil components be sold in the EU store? And this is something I'm happy to answer. Uh, Components, if you're asking about like the swap out cases and stuff like that, this is something that will not be available in the EU store. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that the sort of warranty principles that apply in the EU basically make it impossible to have such stuff in stock. I mean, it's if you break something, if it's an option to purchase something from a store and you break something in the process, the customer breaks something in process, it's still under warranty. So no, it simply will not be available in the EU store. It's a support nightmare. It's a I understand that people who do want to mod their pinces are probably extremely apt and they know what they're doing, but still, this is not something that because it's encouraging the customer to tinker with their device and void the warranty. And the warranty as is that if you open a device, you have voided the warranty. So no, those components will not be in the EU store, but there's other things in the global store which I may consider having added. One of those being those little stands for the pencil, which I think are very very cool. Yes. Any plans to introduce a pencil carry case like the 3D printed models for printers? Those are very very cool. I don't know. No, there's no plan, but I do think they would probably be a very cool thing to add. So no, there's no plan, but I do think that those are amazing. I've seen people making them out of the packaging that the PineStone shipped in the past, when the packaging was a bit different, and I thought that was extremely clever and cool. And there's clearly a need for it. So yeah, very cool idea, something to talk about. I can imagine this being quite a popular thing that people pick up on checkout. Will the USB tester that's being developed prompt the launch of an electronic load, preferably 300 to 500 watt one? Marek, do you wanna
Yes,
take
yes, yes,
this one?
yes, yes. This is good question for the Ralimtech, who is developing this product, because basically this USB tester is effort made by community from hardware to software. So it will be best to ask Ralimtech or the River B on the Discord. But I don't think so. Like I'm watching the development of PineNote USB tester, and I'm not aware that it would have this kind of feature.
Mm-hmm. Are there plans for a better upgraded version of the PineBook Pro with a better processor and more RAM? Also, what about the PinePod? Um, so we do have some plans for the PineBook line of devices, but like in terms of specifically the PineBook Pro, I don't think there is a plan for replacing the PineBook Pro right now. As for the PinePod, I don't know if TL came out and said this publicly, but the PinePod is basically on ice. There's a question of what the what the firmware for it would be, and some of the external communities and projects we reached out to didn't seem to be super keen on a on yet or moving from the audio player they're working on to a different audio player, right? So that's kind of on ice. What do we have? Is the SoC on the Pine64 devices equipped with anything similar to the Intel management engine? Marek, do you know the answer to that?
Yes, I know. The answer is yes and no. Basically, I think you are asking this because of PinePhone or PineBook Pro. The thing is, in case of the original PinePhone, there is a small core which are taking care of the suspend stuff and thermals, but it's fully open source, so there is nothing which normal consumer should be worried about. And the same thing is also in the PineBook Pro or any other device, Pine64 device, which are using Rockchip SoC. But once again, mostly this small CPU core doesn't run anything, or if it do, it's some management system for the suspend or CPU frequency regulation, and it's most of times open source as far as I remember. So yes and no.
Mm-hmm. I'm not, because of the formatting in the through the bridge. I don't know if it's Daniel or somebody else who's asking this, but the question is, what about a pine screwdriver? Uh, I a screwdriver, to the best of my knowledge, has never been discussed as a as something we would be interested in making. It just doesn't. How would you make something that, like an open source screwdriver, or what? I um I don't know. Uh, no, it has never been anything that was discussed to my knowledge. Would
Uh,
there be any? Yeah, keep on. Yeah,
and
sorry.
even I don't think that there is need for Pine screwdriver, because Well, screwdriver is most of times very simple device, which is just a motor and some buttons. There is no microcontroller most of times, so I don't think a reason why Pine64 should make the screwdriver, but maybe. But as Lucas said, we never talked about it before.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we have. Let's see. Somebody's asking about a potential upgrade kit to the PineBook Pro in the future, the RK3588 again coming up. As I said, like it's still very far from Marek explained earlier, if you haven't, for those of you who joined in, Marek explained earlier that the RK3588 is still far from being like a candidate to replace the RK3399, even on the BSP at this time. So thinking about making a laptop based on it is still a bit further off into the future. But in terms of general upgradability of the PineBook Pro or other devices, this is always something that we keep in mind. And if it's possible, at an end user's own risk, this is something which we obviously talk about internally when thinking about future devices. Right. Can you see the next question? Because people just started chatting. By the way, if you're asking questions, please do please ping us, because it's very difficult to kind of keep on talking. And I know that when we go quiet, then people disengage. So when you ask questions, please do ping us. So
There is
somebody is asking.
Yep. Wait, there is one image of the monkeys with the question Pineso V2 when custom logo. The answer is the software supports the IronOS supports custom logo, so it's not problem of IronOS, but it's the issue of the current flasher, which don't support flashing separate sectors of the firmware. So currently, the flasher will just burn or flash the whole firmware at once to the PineSil V2. This is planned, but I don't know when we will add support for this in the Flash. But recently, Ralimtech, the author of the IronOS, was working on some improvements on the Flasher. So maybe soon, but hard to say.
Okay. Somebody said that my audio is quiet, so let me just take a look in here.
Maybe it's from stream side. I don't know, because I hear you quite good on my side.
Yeah. I'll increase the volume a little bit on the microphone. So sorry if it was it was set to 85%, so I increased it to 95% now. Right. I saw somebody else's question here. Somebody's asking OpenCL for the PineBook Pro. What about OpenCL for Star64? This is again a question for you, Gaming.
OpenCL. As far as I remember, I don't know the OpenCL technology much, so I probably don't know the answer. I need to just fastly check out what is OpenCL. If it's, I have feeling it's neural networks thing or something like that. I guess. Well, hard to say. I really don't know. PineBook Pro, the RK3399 don't have any neural accelerator, so it could only use CPU for the calculations, I guess. For Star64, I don't remember if the SoC it is using have neural accelerator. So sorry, I really don't know the answer for this question.
RX is asking, will there be white pine buds? The answer is to that. It's difficult to foresee how popular these things will become. But I'm pretty sure that it hasn't been discussed yet. Up local clock ping for replies is asking you something regarding the keyboard, and if that's okay with you, I'll take like a 2 minutes break, and I'll be right there. Will you be able to answer his questions? He's
Uh,
asking about the keyboard.
I
Can you
don't.
see his question?
No. From who? Is the question? I don't see it.
He pinged you specifically, so if you
Oh, PinePhone keyboard.
yeah, I'll be back in literally like 30 seconds.
Okay,
Let me know,
go.
okay?
Okay. So, I also Martin. I hope my audio is not clipping anymore. I hope so. I will try to tune it, but I guess I'm late. So, questions about the PinePhone Pro keyboard. I'm able to connect USB peripherals into the phone while the keyboard is powered. Example, a flash drive. Uh, like technically it should be possible, but we had some sort of the issues with the keyboard and having anything connected to the USB OTG connector on the PinePhone, and sometimes it could burn out the charging chip inside of the PinePhone keyboard. So uh, when you have PinePhone keyboard on the PinePhone, we don't recommend to connect anything onto the connector because, as I said, we had some issues before with it. Second question is the replacement board on sale on the Pine64 website the updated one that prevents the chip frying? Answer is yes. It's the updated version as far as I know, and yeah, that's all. It should be the latest version as far as I know. Is there a
Back.
welcome back? Is there a planned revision of the keyboard where it will have better power management, a longer lifespan? Well, as far as I know, no plans about this.
Mhm. There's somebody asking about another version of the PinePhone with a bigger battery. Uh, no, but there are two projects that are seeking funding who are working on what is it called? Like custom back cases for the PinePhone and PinePhone Pro. And when they secure funding, I believe that one of them will support also a larger battery, or at least that's what they had planned last time when I spoke to them about 6 months ago. Will there be more rubber sleeve colors for the pencil? A purple one would be cool. I, I, I don't know, but I suppose this is something which can be pitched to the Pine Store. Okay, it's fun to see what people want, during these Q&As. I do actually learn a lot from reading this because I get like more direct feedback and about what people are truly interested in.
Yeah.
But
Even small thing like rubber sleeve color is very interesting for some people, or case like transparent shell, this kind of stuff. It's really interesting that also cosmetic improvements or accessories. There's interest in them.
yeah, Thanos and Mortown clearly want transparent things.
Yeah.
So I actually believe that a lot of people want transparent things. I once posted a picture of one of the early PinePhone prototypes, which had a completely clear internal. The midsection was completely clear, and the back case was completely clear. Just so everybody knows, the reason why they do that is so that they can kind of see the tolerances within the case just by eye, just by looking at it, prior to like properly making the first like proper prototypes. Yeah, and I was really sad. I really wanted to have it just like a really cool showpiece. So I asked TL about a year ago what happened to it, and he didn't know. So maybe it has been lost to time. But it would be like a cool thing, even to to have and show to people at conventions such as Boston, because people clearly do like that sort of stuff. TL has a see-through original Pinebook, uh, completely transparent as well, where you can see all the internals, including the top, bottom, and I believe even the keyboard section, and being completely transparent. Very, very cool. What's going on with SoEdge? There hasn't been a single post about it since it has been released. Yeah, do you want to say something?
Yes. Well, storage. The issue with storage was that basically, in simplicity, Rockchip provided SDK only with Buildroot system for making the final operating system. For people which don't know what is Buildroot, it's basically framework for making very small operating systems for embedded stuff. So this was one issue. Also, second issue was that nobody from the community, from the skilled developers, did not work on the SoEdge. Recently, I had one person. I don't remember the name, but they are using the SoEdge. Uh, Thanks to him, we managed to get latest SDK for the SoEdge directly from Rockchip, which you can download on the wiki Pine64. We have link here for the download, and it's in better shape. But still, it's only Buildroot, and as I said, there is not much interest from the developers or from the distribution maintainers like Arbian or Manjaro for making operating system for that, like a build of their distribution for it. So that's the reason. But well, as I said to you multiple times, I would really like to make at least some barebone working Debian build for that with working NPU, but sadly, due to it's quite time consuming thing, because you need to focus on that for quite some long time, because you need to build the Debian root file system and move all user space Rockchip BSP stuff over here and get it some working. It just takes a very long time, so sadly I didn't had much time for that.
Links. Hi, Links. I should be better at staying in touch with Links. Hi there. PineNote software. Marek did answer this already earlier in a consumer release. In a nutshell, basically, it's a chicken and the egg situation. The Pine Store will consider producing more more PineNotes if there is if developers kind of bring the software to a state where we would consider making an early adopters version of the PineNote.
But
Yep.
about the software development, how it's coming along, actually the community is quite active on the PineNote, and I know the Maximilian is working on some nice stuff. He's working on improving the e-ink drivers and just getting stuff done. And I think also there's some other people which are working on this quite actively, what is really nice to see. I think it's one of the most active channels when we don't count the Pine Sale and this kind of the channels. So it's going, like there is progress. The guys are doing a really nice job, but I think it still needs some time. And at the moment, the biggest issue is not that much the drivers, because e-ink driver is still is already in good shape thanks to the Samuel Holland and Maximilian. But mostly there is a lack of user space applications and stuff, as far as I know. So that's it about the PineNote software situation.
CS Wine is asking, any work being done on a Pinebook Pro successor? On a Pinebook Pro successor? No, not at this time. When will the PinePhone original factory be available again in the store? I assume. I do you know? Do you have any information about that?
Um, no, 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 no. I don't have any information about that.
Sorry, but you could write to info at Pine64 and see if they would provide you with any information about it. I don't know. Daniel is asking any plans for a Chromecast Kodi Fire Stick type device. I've spoken to about this on I think on the first Q&A. So no, there's no plans for it, but I think it's a really, really, really cool idea, is what I'll say. And I'll tell you that I lobbied for making one because I think it's very, very cool. So I don't want to rant about this for too long because we're kind of running out of time here. But I'll say that I do see I see a market for it at the right price point where you could put either something light like LibreElec on it, or KD. They're working on their, what is it called? KD TV big screen. Is that what it's called? I think. And I do think
Yeah,
that
I
yeah,
think
is that
so.
what it's
I
called?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's super cool, but like the idea which I was pitching was have it have very limited amount of like internal storage. It doesn't have to have a lot of RAM, and it would have to be fairly inexpensive, so that you could put it into, if you have one or two TVs at home, or whatever, you could put them into the different TVs at home, and then you would have a NAS box and just stream from your NAS box. And I think that's super, super cool. But I don't know, because this is kind of, this is my application at home with my family. Like we have we basically the living room has a Rock Pro 64 running, LibreElec, and like kids room has a, whatever, basically Rock 64 is running LibreElec and stuff around the house, and it's all streaming media from uh, well, there's YouTube on it, but aside from that, it's mostly streaming media from a NAS box at home. And this was my idea, but I know that a lot of people want to have like Netflix and Amazon TV and whatnot, and I'm aware that basically it's not possible, or it's very, very difficult to do that due to DRM on LibreElec. So uh, uh, maybe it's just me who finds the idea super cool. But if it would be very reasonably priced, I think it would be something more people would be interested in. Right, the SIM slot was changed. The SIM slot was changed, Martel. Was it because people did silly things and put things into the wrong slot? Yes, that's exactly why. It was 1 in the morning. I see that you're asking more about the ring, or did I? No, no, no. I lost my.
He sent it once
Or,
more time. Once he sent it
oh,
second time, and but there's also some new questions, like
mhm.
any plans for new Pine Time, or that cheaper stem player.
Right. Yeah. I mean, since we're running a bit short out of time, I feel like we answered these,
Pine Time
haven't
not,
we?
but other
Hmm?
seems like yes.
So did he ask about a Pine Time as well, somewhere here in this block of text? So Pine Time, yeah. I mean, at some point down the road, I think that the consensus internally is that JF and the Infinity Time crew mm, have done so much work and truly taken over. Pine Time as a project is really their project in a sense at this point. Obviously, it's the communities, but they have a lot of say as to what happens with the Pine Time and any future Pine Time devices. So I don't think you will be seeing any Pine Time V2 or 2 anytime super soon, but there definitely is an option for a future Pine time, and I can tell you that this is something which has been discussed in terms of just future plans with JF, and when he says that he thinks something is a particularly good idea, I'm certain that there will be movement in that direction. But it's not gonna be happening, in a matter of months. There's nothing super solid at this time. But there's definitely talks about a future iteration of the Pine Time and what it should be based on and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like JF already tweeted some pictures of running Infinite Time on the Buffalo BL602. So we will see.
Yeah, obviously people got the hint at that point, and there's the BL kind of line, the Buffalo line of chips being a natural way to progress this project, right? I mean, a natural kind of next stepping stone.
Yeah.
WOC, OpenCL. I don't know what he's referring to. I know he asked some open, or she or they asked some question regarding OpenCL before, but I don't know. I can't recall what it was.
Second, I will go away for 1 minute. But you can continue.
I shall continue. And we're probably going to be wrapping up in some 5 minutes. So if we don't get to your questions, then later on, if you want to, and if you have time, I'll have about an hour so you can hang out in the casual hangouts on Discord. If you can always catch us in the chats as well. Minkus is asking what target was the PineBuds. What target was the PineBuds Pro tuned to? What are the competitors supposed to be on the RF graph? I don't know what the competitors are. This is completely honestly, and I know nothing about tuning of this sort of equipment, but I know that after the final plastic molds were being finished and being altered, then it has that the PineBuds, the early version, was given to people who really know what they're doing and have a good idea about sound. And as you saw, Ben said that he did really think that they sounded great, and Marek was now away.
No, I'm here. But... I'm here. I'm back.
Oh, you're here. Okay. And I know that you had an opportunity to listen to the PineBuds Pro 2 as well, right? And you were quite pleased with how they sounded as well, right?
Oh yes. So like for the price, I think it's great, and the active noise cancellation is just amazing thing. Like really good. So I'm quite excited for this project, for the PineBuds Pro.
Right. Should we? It's 10 past.
Yeah.
So we are running quite late. So I know there's a bunch of other questions, but I think we're probably gonna call it a day here. But you're welcome to jump into casual hangouts, and I'll be there for another 40 minutes or so before I'll need to head out. So thank you to everyone who asked questions, and I hope that we managed to answer most of them and that we didn't skip anything. But as I said, if you don't ping us, then it is quite difficult to spot your messages. Right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and you can always catch us in the chats if you need any further clarifications or answers to anything. See you, everyone.
See ya.
Cool. Right. Let me join.